The clock chimed 3, ament, its mournful toll echoing through the empty corridors of Hollow Pines Asylum. I stood frozen in the dimly lit hallway, the sound bouncing off the cold, damp walls. I'd always hated the sound of that clock. It was like the Grim Reaper himself was winding down his own personal doomsday clock. But tonight it sounded different, more ominous. I had no idea how long I'd been wandering these halls, or why. All I knew was that I needed to get out to escape this nightmare. I pushed open another heavy steel door and found myself in a large common room. Moonbeams sliced through grimy windows high above, casting long, distorted shadows that danced eerily on the threadbare carpet. In the corner, a TV flickered to life, displaying a grainy black and white image of a masked clown whose painted smile seemed mockingly cheerful in the flickering light. I wanted to scream, to shatter the suffocating silence that pressed against me like a shroud, but I couldn't. My throat was hoarse, as if my own fear was choking my voice. I was trapped in a waking nightmare, held captive by unseen forces within the decaying walls of Hollow Pines. And the worst part, I wasn't even sure I was the only one. The first time I stepped into Hollow Pines Asylum, I thought I was walking into a graveyard disguised as a building. The place was massive, sprawling across acres of fog-choked forest, with stone walls that seemed too old to still be standing. I was there as a medical student fulfilling a mandatory volunteer shift before the asylum's final closure. It was supposed to be routine, help with patient records, shadow the doctors, learn the history of psychiatric care. But nothing about Hollow Pines was routine. The moment I entered, I felt it, a silence that seemed alive, as if the walls themselves were listening. The patients shuffled down the dim oil lamp-lit halls, some muttering to themselves, others staring blankly at nothing. But there was one thing no one prepared me for. One patient who shouldn't have known my name, yet somehow did. On my second day, I was walking past the east wing when a voice stopped me. "Eli," it whispered. My blood ran cold. No one here should know my name. I turned slowly. In the last cell sat a man with hollow cheeks, wide unblinking eyes, and hands covered in scars. His smile spread slowly, too wide for comfort. "You finally came back," he said. I froze. "Do I know you?" He shook his head, laughing softly. "You've been here longer than me." Before I could respond, a nurse pulled me away. "Don't talk to him. He hasn't spoken in years," but I knew what I heard, and I couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't lying. As part of my work, I was tasked with sorting old patient records. The asylum was closing, and everything had to be cataloged. The basement archives were endless. Rows of dusty boxes, yellowed papers, the smell of mold and something fouler beneath it. One night while working late, I found a file that made my skin crawl. The name on the folder was mine, Eli Morgan. Admitted 2014. Condition, dissociative psychosis. I laughed nervously at first. It had to be a mistake, some clerical error. But as I flipped through the file, my heart pounded. It described details only I would know: my childhood home, my mother's lullaby, the scar on my wrist. But the dates were wrong. The file claimed I'd been a patient here for over 10 years. I tried to confront the doctors, but they dismissed me. "You've been working too hard. These records are old, unreliable." Still, I couldn't let it go. I began noticing things others didn't. Hallways that seemed longer than before, doors appearing where none had been, clocks stuck on the same time for hours. The patients watched me. Some whispered my name as I passed. Others shrank back in fear, as though I carried something contagious. And every night I dreamed of the man in the East Wing cell. His voice echoed in my head. "You've been here all along." I couldn't resist. I returned to his cell. You need to explain this, I demanded. Why do you know me? The man tilted his head. Because you never left. They just make you think you did. Every few years they let you wander, let you believe you're someone else, a student, a doctor, an outsider. That's insane, I whispered. He leaned closer, his eyes sharp and lucid. Then why is your file in the basement? I stumbled back. He smiled wider. They'll bring you back soon. They always do. I decided to leave. Forget the volunteer work. Forget the asylum. Just walk out and never return. But when I reached the front doors, the locks wouldn't budge. The guards didn't acknowledge me. The staff walked past, as if I wasn't there. In the reflection of the glass door, I didn't see my clothes. I wasn't wearing the student's uniform anymore. I was in a patient's gown, thin and faded. I blinked. When I looked again, the reflection was gone, but the fear wasn't. I was trapped. Trapped in a place where the very walls seemed to close in around me, whispering secrets of madness and despair. Where faces that should have been forgotten stared at me with accusing eyes, where the shadows stretched and twisted, taking on a life of their own. The next day, 2 orderlies cornered me in the hall. Time for treatment, they said, though I hadn't signed up for anything. They strapped me to a chair, wheeled me into a white room with buzzing lights. The doctor, face hidden behind a surgical mask, checked the file on the clipboard. Patient Morgan, he said, his voice muffled. Severe episode. He thinks he's a volunteer again. I screamed, begged them to stop. But the restraints tightened. Needles pierced my skin. My vision blurred. Through the haze, I saw him again, the patient from the East Wing, standing in the corner, free of restraints, smiling, watching. You'll come back, he whispered. You always come back. When I woke, I was back in my cell. The walls padded, the air stale, my name etched into the plaster over and over. The nurse came by with medication, smiling too brightly. Good morning, Eli. You had quite the episode last night. But don't worry, you're safe here. I tried to argue, to explain, but my voice was hoarse. My reflection in the tiny window showed me exactly what I was, a patient. And in the distance I heard the other man's laughter echoing down the halls. That's when I realized the truth. He wasn't another patient. He was me, an older version trapped in another cycle. And Hollow Pines wasn't closing. It never closed. It just kept us here forever. The walls whispered my name, and I finally understood. I was the forgotten patient. If you enjoyed this story, check out more content for more terrifying tales like this one. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join our community. Thanks for watching.